Welcome to Modern Motoring. I'm Jay, and I'm with the 2025 Hyundai Tucson Hybrid. Now, this is part of the mid-cycle refresh, and I did do a pretty deep dive on the gasoline trim a few months ago, but in this video, we're going to go through the differences between the hybrid and the gasoline trim, and we're going to focus in on numbers. So that's fuel consumption and, more importantly, pricing, and is it worth the extra premium to get the hybrid trim over the gasoline? We'll touch on competition as well, and some of the features and benefits you'll get from the ultimate hybrid versus the N-line hybrid. So with that, let's get out of this parking lot and onto the road. Starting off with some numbers, the Tucson Hybrid for 2025 uses the 1.6-liter turbocharged four-cylinder engine. Combined output here is 231 horsepower, 258 pound-feet of torque through a 6-speed automatic, not an E-CVT. For contrast, the gasoline trim produces 187 horsepower, 178 pound-feet of torque, and that's through an 8-speed automatic. So you get 2 extra gears on the automatic side. Lower fuel consumption is one of the key drivers when you're looking at a hybrid. And here we have a combined 6.7 liters per 100 kilometers. Contrast that with the gasoline trim, which is 8.8. And Natural Resources Canada has you saving $651 a year on average by picking the hybrid over the gasoline trim. A little more on that on the financial side when we dig into pricing. If you're unfamiliar with the Tucson lineup, the N-Line and the Ultimate come in hybrid form, with the Ultimate also coming in plug-in hybrid form for an extra $5,500, whereas the XRT and Preferred come in gasoline only. On the driving impression side, the Tucson Hybrid drives exceptionally well, and what stands out to me the most is just how seamless and, more importantly, quiet it is when it flips from the battery to the engine. Right now I'm using the engine portion and I'm at 1,700 RPM, a slight reduction in pressure for my right foot, and now I'm in full electric mode and 0.0 on the RPMs, and I don't feel anything under my right foot. I don't feel anything in the cabin, and I'm going to put some pressure down again on my right foot, doing the opposite and going from the battery to the engine, and it just did it. I don't think anything's going to get picked up on the microphone, and I don't feel anything in the vehicle. So if drive comfort and an exceptionally quiet cabin are key factors for you, the Tucson Hybrid does this exceptionally well. No issues getting up to highway speeds at all, and it's fairly nimble. And thanks to all that extra torque, again, from 178 with the gasoline trim to the 258 here, you do get that nice extra burst of power when you need it. I'm not talking about racing someone to the next red light, but if you need to do an evasive maneuver on the highway or even on city streets, the Tucson Hybrid is so well put together, and it's one of the better ones, and the 6-speed transmission is another key difference here over many of the other compact crossover hybrids, because a lot of them use that E-CVT system, and nothing's wrong with it, but you get a little more of that true, authentic driving feel here with a geared transmission over that CVT. With 2025 being a mid-cycle refresh, it's one of the better ones that I've seen in the industry. Everything is fully modernized. You get the big pair of 12.3-inch screens. There's a lot of space for storage, and everything is just so cleanly laid out. It doesn't feel like there's any extra pieces of clutter. Overall, the cabin feels extremely upscale. This big panoramic sunroof lets lots of light in. You get a shelf in front of the passenger for a little extra storage, and everything is so nicely designed. Now, my one drawback here is the climate control system and no physical buttons. A couple of dials for your temperature settings, but everything else is through that screen on the bottom panel. It's not awful. I've gotten used to it. I still have a preference for physical buttons. Some of the differences between the gasoline trim and the hybrid trim is with the hybrids, you get that 64 color ambient light, you get a higher position for your rear seats, and you get an ultrasonic rear occupant alert. So some small things. I don't think it'll be on anybody's A, B, or C list, but there's still nice things to have. Let's get wrapped up on the pricing side. So there are 2 hybrid trims, the N-Line and the Ultimate. So the N-Line's Canadian MSRP for 2025 comes in at $43,399. Go for the top trim Ultimate, you add $4,000 to that, and you're at $47,399. Now, the highest gasoline trim that you can get is the XRT, and that's $40,399. So it's only $3,000 of a difference to go from the highest trim gasoline to the lowest or first trim of the hybrid, which isn't too bad. You're getting a pretty good amount of value, specifically with the fuel consumption savings here by going from gasoline to hybrid. A little bit of math here, and going from that XRT top trim gasoline to the N-line hybrid, again, $3,000, and it's a $651 savings on average per year to opt for the hybrid over the gasoline trim. If we take that $651 savings divided by 3,000, that's about 4.5 years before you're quote unquote broken even as far as your upfront costs to get the hybrid to, again, breaking even. If you're looking at the ultimate hybrid, which is what we have here, comparing that with the top trim XRT, it's a $7,000 difference, and dividing that $651 in yearly savings for fuel by 7,000, that puts you at nearly 11 years for the quote-unquote break-even point. A quick run through the competition, and I'm only going to focus on fuel consumption, and as a reminder, 6.7 is the average liters per 100 kilometers consumption here. Toyota's RAV4 comes in at 6.0, the Mazda CX-50 Hybrid, which uses the Toyota system, comes in at 6.2. The cousin to this vehicle, the Kia Sportage, 6.2 as well, but it uses a 6-speed automatic, whereas everything else in this competition pile runs off an E-CVT. The Ford Escape is at 6, Honda CR-V 6.4, and that new Subaru Forester e-Boxer Hybrid is at 6.9, so that's the highest here. So lots of competition, lots of options, which is always good for the consumer. If you do a lot of city/urban driving, the hybrid is absolutely the way to go over the gasoline trim, and perhaps the plug-in hybrid, but you've got to figure out if paying that $5,500 as a premium to get the plug-in hybrid technology versus the hybrid technology is worth it for you. And if you have a charger at home and you can plug in every night, you can make the most of that 51 kilometers of all electric range, sure, but bringing it back to the hybrid versus gasoline, a lot of city driving, hybrid absolutely makes sense. The last touch here on the Tucson Hybrid will be some of the features you get if you spend the extra $4,000 for the ultimate trim versus the N-line. So highlights include a head-up display, leather seats, driver memory seat system, ventilated front seats, an 8-way passenger seat. You also get adaptive cruise control too, smart park, the blind view monitor, a 360 cam, highway drive assist, and LED projector headlights. So I think it's worth it as somebody who does a lot of driving, and whether it's my parents or friends or stuff in the car, the big one for me is going to be that 8-way power passenger seat, because all of my passengers are different sized. I won't really use the ventilated seats. The other features are nice to haves, not have to haves, and the Tucson Hybrid would still operate just fine for me without them. That's going to wrap it up for the review. If you have any questions on what you've seen, let me know in the comments. I'm always happy to get you answers as soon as possible, and always happy to engage in respectful conversations online. I invite you to join the Modern Motoring social community. We are on all of the major platforms, and without you, there is no modern motoring. So I thank you, I appreciate you, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.